Bobby Chu. Hi, Bobby! Thank you so much for talking so lovely about the superhero project. So welcome. Hello, hello, hello. If you guys came in through the door you have them in your laps. I see them. There's a Draw This in Your Style prompt from the Superhero Project. These are our 4 lovable characters. We have Turbo, Mighty, Match, and Tuca. They are our 4 mascots of the Superhero Project. Please feel free, if you'd like to, on the back of this paper, in your sketchbook, on your iPads, at home, whatever you'd like. If you want to go ahead and draw those characters, that'd be great. And you can use the hashtag SHPDTIYS and tag us at the Superhero Kid. Fantastic. Amazing. All right, a few words before we begin. I just want to make sure that as we go into this presentation, I want you to know that the language that we decided to use in this presentation and that we use throughout the Superhero Project is in alignment with the National Center on Disability and Journalism's Disability Language Style Guide. Say that 10 times fast. The Superhero Project uses a style guide that includes a person-first language to describe people with disabilities, and respects the language individuals with disabilities that they choose to describe themselves. The images we're going to show you today, we have permission to share them, so please don't take photos of these pictures and then post them online anywhere. We have permission, you do not. Hey, that's me. So hello, my name is Taryn Kazi. I am the creative director over here at the Superhero Project. And I'm so happy to be here this year. We are here for our 2nd year now, and it's really cool to see familiar faces and brand new ones. Hello, new friends. Hi. Hello. To get to know me a little bit better, hi, Cassie. Hello, everyone. Cassie, one of our artists as well. To get to know me a little better, so I am creative director by day, and I am storyboard artist by night. I work with Chubby Beagle. It's a cute little studio here in the Pasadena area. I have a BFA in illustration from my college years ago, and I've been a children's book illustrator, graphic designer, caricature artist, that was fun, and storyboarder. So my adventures have led me all over the US, and now I live in North Carolina. So it's a bit of a trek to get back here. Next up, I want to introduce our friend Isabel Lockwood. There she is. Hi, Isabel. Hello. Her hair is fantastic. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. She's coming from all the way from San Francisco. She is a freshman at the Blue Ridge Academy. She's a strong drive to participate in learning and developing her skills in art while exploring many art mediums of expression. She isn't letting her spinal muscular atrophy direct her lack of abilities, but drive her spirit to create art from her soul for all to be inspired. Love that. She's a great proponent of the Superhero Project, woohoo, and wants to encourage you all to join the organization to help kids see what can be done to help develop their strength, their spirit of fight and growth. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you here. Also with us, we have Lilibeth Jimenez. She is a Mexican-American freelance illustrator and background painter. She's been a Superhero Project artist with us and does beautiful things. She graduated from Cogswell College with a BA in digital art and animation with a focus on entertainment design. She loves to illustrate colorful stories with whimsical and detailed settings. She's a huge fan of all holidays, but especially loves Halloween. Yes, we love a spooky girl. In her free time, she fosters cats and likes to play board games with her friends and family. And finally, last but not least, we have the lovely Lisa over here to my right. Hi, Lisa. She is the founder of the Superhero Project. And you can see in that photo up there we have of her. Big, lovely photo. She's actually standing in front of Cleveland Tower. And on National Superhero Day, they agreed to shine our colors from the Superhero Project up on their tower. It was such a cool day. She began the Superhero Project as a part-time unpaid side hustle and is thrilled to see how it's turned into a real job. She launched the Superhero Project to bring joy to kids and teens with serious illnesses and special needs, and her role is definitely connecting people. She's really, really good at it. She likes to interview kids about what's most important to them and how they want to make the world a better place, collaborating with artists like myself who bring their superhero alter egos to life, and wrangling printers and postage to deliver posters to share the Superhero Project story near and far. So Lisa, I've said plenty. Would you like to come on up and continue?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. That tower, Terminal Tower in Cleveland, was actually used as the backdrop for one of the Avengers films, so you may recognize Loki standing in front of it, I believe. causing some kind of destruction. So the superhero project needs to begin where every superhero tale does, which is with an origin story. And ours was at Camp Sunrise. For 24 years, Camp Sunrise was the only camp for kids and teens impacted by HIV and AIDS in Ohio. For 9 of those years, I was a program specialist and a counselor, and one summer the theme was about finding your inner superhero. And I thought, wouldn't it be so fun if the first day of camp we asked the kids who they would be and how they would, what they would do as a superhero, and then surprise them the last day of camp with an artist version of their superhero. I reached out to my friend Tim Yoon, who is now a producer at Netflix, who connected me with 50 artists who turned around 90, and then I had another 40, so we turned around 90 characters in about 4 days. And I really thought it would just be a fun little memory piece, but in fact, I was totally wrong. Because as the designs started coming in, I was stunned at how somehow these artists, and many of them, you may recognize their names, and this big one right here is from Jeremy, who's just in the back there. Give a wave, Jeremy. So he was one of our original artists. And I just couldn't believe how beautifully they had captured the kids' strength and their spunk and their spirit and their beauty in a way that they might not have previously seen themselves. When we showed the posters to the kids, that really was affirmed because we did it in a slideshow, and immediately every time the posters went up, the kids would go nuts. They were clapping and cheering and laughing, and I was weeping, and it just really was an amazing thing, and I felt like I had stumbled into something special, something that I didn't want to give up. So with the encouragement of a few of the artists, including Jeremy, that I would be able to continue to find artists to participate, I started, and I forgot about this. So Jorge and Sandra, also whose names you may know, they were the first of what has happened often through the years, which is that the perfect artist seemed to be matched up with the right kid. So because they are a husband and wife, I paired them up with a brother and sister. And when I explained who they are, the kids, their faces lit up, and they were so excited because they said, "The Book of Life, that's our favorite movie. We watch it all the time." And that kind of serendipity is something that has happened regularly. So I started by doing interviews at the Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital in Cleveland in the pediatric and adolescent oncology and hematology units. I realized very quickly that although people were there for critical care, that many of them were also living with lifelong disabilities. So I immediately expanded to work with those populations as well. And that has continued to go as new populations emerge. We work with youth in foster care who've experienced trauma. We work with kids who are dealing with mental health struggles and other kinds of lifelong disabilities and other complex medical needs. As soon as we started putting stuff out on social media, as soon as I started putting stuff out on social media, then we started to get requests from people outside the hospital, then from people outside the city, then from people outside of the state, and then from people outside of the country. And I just kept expanding because we can do virtual interviews from anywhere. There was no reason not to. We got a little bit of fun coverage. This summer we were featured in People magazine, and we were on a national radio show last year in Canada. And all of that has just really organically has become what was just this little program I was doing has become a nonprofit. And I couldn't be prouder or happier that it has. So all of the work we do is based on 4 core values: imagination, inclusion, representation, and joy. That's woven through not just how we work with families and artists, but how we work as a staff and with our board as well. So far, we have done posters for over 1,350 youth from across the country and lots of different countries as well. And that actually, we've actually worked with 600 artists now, more than 600, so that number's bumped up. And they've been from six continents, and my hope and I've been trying to find an artist in Antarctica who will jump in and do a superhero just so we can say that it's been 7 continents.
So if anybody knows anybody in Antarctica, please let us know.
Yes, give us a shout. Oh, there we go. There's the 600. Apparently I updated it but didn't erase the first one. All right, so how does it actually work? We begin when families contact us and we conduct individualized strengths-based interviews. The first half of the interview is focused on the whole child, who they are beyond the diagnosis. This isn't a medical consultation. This is simply getting to know kids about who they are, what they love to do, what they're interested in, what they're curious about, where they'd want to go on an adventure one day. We just really want to know who they are. We make sure that our interviews are inclusive. Mimi here is nonverbal, so if a child is nonverbal or no longer verbal because of a degenerative disease, then we invite parents or siblings to do the interviews on their behalf. Mimi is also from Haiti, and so we needed to get a Haitian Creole translator to be on the call, to be on the interview. So we were able to do that. As I said, what we're really looking for is to find out who the kids are and what they're all about. And many parents tell us that this is one of the most meaningful parts of the experience because they are very often asked to explain what their kids can't do, what the deficiencies are, what needs help, what therapies they need to come into. They very rarely get a chance to just celebrate their kids, tell people what they love most about them, what they see as their child's greatest strengths, and what they see as their contributions to the world. Once we know that, then we start moving towards what's really important to them. How do they want to make a positive difference in the world? And that becomes the basis of their superheroes. And so then we start with the artist design. And so Taryn, who is one of our artists, is going to talk about that.
Oh my gosh. So I first started off with the superhero project as a volunteer artist. You can see right there's a poster I did kind of recently for Ranger Robbie. So as all the information that Lisa has collected, lots and lots of fun info from each kid, she will send this information as well as photos. Yes.
Do you know, so we skipped one step, which is that once we find out what's important to the kids, that becomes the basis of their superhero mission, and then we take them through the conceptualization of the character. What do they want to wear? What do they want to look like? What kind of tools and powers are they going to need? And how do they get from place to place? Then it's all of that information goes to the artist.
That's right. And that's actually a picture of an email that you received from Lisa that has information from them about their favorite food, their favorite classes, all the things that they really love right now. And then down below is their superhero name and what they would like to look like, their powers, their tools, what kind of, how they get around usually. So for instance, Robbie over here, he wanted to include his chair, but make it really rugged because he loves national parks. And so I gave him some really big, gnarly wheels. So typically the information that we get from Lisa, we get through email. All of our artists are located around the world. So you are welcome to sign up. Doesn't matter where you live, where you work, we'll still work with you. And we're given 2 weeks to complete each poster assignment. Luckily, I am there behind the curtain. If anybody has any questions or if they need help or if they'd like advice or feedback, they can email me and we can talk it over and say, ooh, what if you tried this instead? Or, oh, I don't think that hand should be that small. You should make it a little larger. So I'm always on the sidelines to help. Something I wanted to note too, it's important that we ask our artists not to idealize these kids too much. Like we don't want them to look like Superman when they're like a 3-year-old kid. We want to showcase every child's natural beauty because they'll use these posters as a tool for empowerment, and making sure they feel strong and comfortable with their bodies and disabilities is vital. So, yep, this is a quick poster of Ranger Robbie, and from here artists are able to conceptualize the layout, the look, the feel, everything like that. And our artist collective, lovingly called our League of Extraordinary Artists, hey guys, they all have styles that vary completely from poster to poster. We love that our artists all have different styles. We love to see it. And every artist's process is completely different. So I want to turn the table over here to Lily, hey Lily, and ask you a little bit about your process. Would you like to go over what you do?
Sure.
Excellent.
So I feel like, kind of like what Taryn said, it really depends between poster to poster. My process usually changes depending on like what the person wants in their poster, or like their age also has to do a lot with like how I'll change the style of it. There's been a couple of posters where I've had younger children where I thought maybe like a children's book style fit them a little bit better, and some who were older who maybe wanted to look a little bit more mature, or like they look a little bit more realistic. So the stylization really changes between posters. My process is a little bit all over the place, but it usually just depends. Like I go through the brief a couple of times, try to read like all the information that they send over. So they'll talk about like their favorite things that they like to do, their favorite foods that they like to eat, colors, everything is in there. You really get to know a lot about them as a person, and you get to be the one who decides like what things you want to include into your poster. So you can, you have a lot of options for sure. So you can go through it a couple times, see what like pops out to you, and that's usually what I do. I like to write it down for myself, and specifically things that are popping out to me. Like if they say, oh, they really like rainbows, like that'll be something that I will incorporate into the poster. And sometimes I just want to incorporate all of it. So it just depends on the person. But so I usually start off by doing a quick sketch. Sometimes that includes poses. Once I have a pose, usually something like a power pose that they can feel like powerful in their superhero outfits. And from there, I'll go ahead and start thinking about colors, and if there's background like aspects that I want to incorporate, I'll do that as well. Once I've got the sketch down, I'll refine, look a lot at the reference, because we always get reference when they send over the brief. It's very important for me to make sure that the family can recognize that is like their superhero, and for the superhero themselves to see the poster and be like, that's me. Like I want that to be something that they can show people and be like, look at me, I'm a superhero. So I spend a really long time looking at photo reference that's sent over and make sure that like some of the features come in through. And then I go into what I consider is the fun part for me, because I love to work with color. So I start to color block things, and from there I get to the rendering point. And after I've done all that, the last step is to add in their superhero name. So I think I have an example up there of the amazing Sammy. She was a really big fan, or is a really big fan of Eric Carle, and specifically the Blue Horse. So I really wanted her to just have the picture book feel of being in an Eric Carle book. And so once we've got that all done, we send it over to Lisa or to Taryn and get some feedback in. Specifically for the amazing Sammy, we had some changes made to the location of her superhero name. I had originally had it in the corner, but Taryn suggested that it would look better if it had more space to breathe at the top top left of it. And I agree, it looks so much better afterwards. So a lot of these notes are usually just small things that could be easily fixed. A lot of the creative choices are left up to you. Your style is completely up to you. You can change whatever you like. And then if there's, like usually at the end, there's just small things that have to be changed. And then they get their poster, and I said the best part was coloring, but that's not true. The best part is when you get to send it over, and sometimes they send a thank you note back, and it's the best feeling ever to just like know that you directly impacted someone in a positive way. So yeah.
That's
Lily,
beautiful, yeah.
I want to just point out for everyone, Sammy there is not like rocking out. That's an I love you in ASL, just in case anyone was wondering.
And you did a terrific job, like capturing the texture of an Eric Carle. When you sent this in, I was like, oh my goodness.
I collect brushes all over my iPad, so I was like, I'm gonna try out all of them and like just have fun with it. So that's what I did. I was like, this is fun.
And we love that most of our artists work digitally, so that I can actually ask Lily to move the text if need be. And usually I try and find the simplest, easiest way to make adjustments, so it's not like a pain in the butt to have to go back and adjust everything. So thank you, Lily, so much for sharing your process. That's wonderful. And she's right. We do send, with each poster, we send a note that the artist has written to the child, as well as a character story, like kind of like their origin story, like an epic paragraph about what they do and their superpower and who they're helping, so that when they open the poster, they also get those nice little notes with that.
When we write the character stories, as much as possible, we try to use the child's own words and the parent's own words. So if a parent during the interview said, "Oh, my daughter, I'm so proud of her. She's tough as nails," then when we describe the superhero, we'll of course say, the amazing Sammy is tough as nails. And sometimes the parents may not remember that they exactly said it, but then it's going to like just go right into their heart because they're like, somehow they captured exactly who my child is. And that's what's so important.
It's true. It's true. Ooh, hey, look at all these cool people. Wow, oh my goodness. So we host Draw with the Artist sessions and masterclass sessions. Draw with the Artist sessions and masterclass sessions are like a 1.5 hour Zoom with our superhero kiddos or with our League of Extraordinary Artists with professional artists in the industry. So we have like a little time to Zoom together, draw together, learn from each other. And you can see a couple guests here that you might recognize. We had Loish at one time. We had Jerry and Penelope. They're here at Lightbox this year. We had Neil Blevins. I believe he's here as well. We drew some really cool faces out of everyday objects. We even had David Shannon of the No David books. I'm not sure if you guys know who that is, but nope, okay. Go check him out when you leave. He's fantastic. But we had a really fun time with all of these artists. And with these live draws, I was actually lucky enough to be able to do live draws myself through our Facebook. And my very first time, I actually got to draw with Belle on our Facebook live draw. She was in the chat with me. There she is. We're conceptualizing her Dracana poster. And so now, after I've had a complete blast drawing all this with her, now I'd like to turn over to Belle, ask her a couple questions, and talk about this process with her. Belle, you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Excellent. Just for the questions?
Okay.
All right, perfect. All right, so we have Belle over here. Ta-da, ta-da. All right, Belle. So I want to start off. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us your age, where you came from.
My name is Isabel. I'm 14, and I live in Ventura.
Perfect. Amazing. Thank you so much. 14. Awesome. Love it. Love her hair, everybody. Oh, my goodness. Check it out. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. So what was it like for you being interviewed by Lisa and then being drawn by me?
It was really fun. Like, it was really fun to talk with her because she has like a really nice personality, and it's nice how like she really tries to dig deep
Yeah.
and like get to know them beyond the disability and like know their special interests and stuff like that.
That's awesome. That's good. And how long was your interview? Do you remember?
An hour?
It was like an hour? Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. It was a while ago.
In like 2 years.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And then how about when you were on Facebook Live while I was drawing? Was that fun for you?
Yeah, I really liked studying your art style and like
Cool.
seeing how you drew.
Thanks.
It was like really cool how your process is.
And it was really cool to have you in the chat. I think I got to ask you questions about what kind of bow you wanted and like what kind of jacket. You were really into Hamilton at that time, so we tried to work
Yeah.
that in there.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was awesome.
And do you want to tell us who's there with you in the poster?
Oh yeah, that's my dog, Bella. She's very dopey, so I love how like you were able to capture how like silly she is. And she looks kind of like the Scooby-Doo.
Oh, I love Scooby-Doo, so
Yeah.
thank you. That's great.
Yeah.
We've got Belle, and then Bella is your dog, so that's good to know. Differentiation. What did it feel like to see your final superhero poster for the first time?
I was really like surprised with how like bright the colors were. And
Oh,
how,
yeah.
I just really liked it a lot, like how flowy it was, and it was just really cool to see, like how you captured everything really well.
Perfect. Well, thank you. You did a
Yeah.
great job, like especially in your interview, like telling what you wanted, and I completely visualized it the entire time. I was so excited to draw this poster.
Nice.
What do you think that participating in the superhero project is important and meaningful for young people?
I believe this project is important because it can really help with ego boosting and confidence for people with disabilities, as like, you know, society tends to look down on us. So it's nice to have where we're in the superhero light, to where people would tend to look up to us, and it's very nice to have that like confidence with it.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's fantastic. Ego boost, confidence. I love it. That's good. Thank you so much, Belle. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, or?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, excellent. Everybody, thank you so much. Thank you, Belle. Thank you so much for answering some questions. Thank you. All right.
So that's part of the impact, and I managed to not cry when she just said that about what happens during our interview, because that's very much what I try to do. So thank you, Belle. So we know what she just said. She summed up beautifully what it feels like to have a poster made for you. We do know from surveys and from the letters and notes that we get back that there are some common positive impacts from participating. And look, here are some fun pictures for you to look at. So the first thing that people tell us is that it really helps self-confidence, just as Belle said, that being able to see themselves and their differences and their assistive devices really shining through is a really powerful boost. It's one thing to use a wheelchair and to have your wheelchair in the picture. It's another thing for that wheelchair to be flying across the sky, right, with rockets behind it. Parents tell us that participating in the superhero project also gives them and caregivers another tool in their arsenal, so that when a child is facing a serious challenge, that they're able to call up on that image and say, look, what would your superhero do in this moment? Or which of your superpowers do you want to call on to help you get through this tough moment? They also feel that it builds connections, and that's in a few different ways. The first is that, unfortunately, oftentimes families of young people who are with disabilities, or even families whose children get a critical illness, feel very isolated from their neighbors, from their school communities, from their faith communities, and even sometimes from their extended family. And this is a way for, the poster is a way for them to actually show those people who their child is, to say, look, this is my son, this is my daughter, she is beautiful, he is powerful, they are really making a difference in the world and a difference in our family. And there's no reason to feel sorry for us, there's no reason to be afraid to talk to us, because this is how we see who our child is really at their core. The second way is that it also makes a connection. Belle's and Taryn's is particularly strong because of the live draw, but there really is a connection, kind of a pen pal connection between the young people and their artists. Taryn mentioned that we encourage artists to send a note. At the very least, they get a bio of the artist. And we love when their pictures come back with a thank you note, which we pass on to the artist. I mentioned the serendipity before of having the right artist meet with the right kid. One artist had already been drawing for us for a few years, and then we got our first young girl with Marfan syndrome, and so I was just looking at what she asked for and looking at our artist's style. I thought they would be a good fit, and so I sent the assignment off, and she immediately wrote back and thanked me because she said that she is living with Marfan syndrome as well, that it wasn't diagnosed. She's from, I think, Brazil, and it wasn't diagnosed until she was in her late teens, which meant that she had a lot of pain and a lot of medical problems growing up because they just didn't know what it was. And the odds of the very first out of hundreds of kids with Marfan syndrome going with, at that time, what were already hundreds of artists that they happened to be matched up was just incredible. And so she wrote back the most beautiful note that we sent to the family, and then the family wrote back the most beautiful thank you note that we sent back to her, and then I think there's maybe one more round of that as well. And so those are really special moments for us too. We had another really special one that we want to share with you, and that was a young guy named Arlo who reached out from us. He lives in Australia, and at the time when we met him, he was waiting for a kidney transplant. He was matched up with Dave at Sea, who is a children's book author and illustrator who also lives in Australia, just coincidentally. And he asked if it would be all right if while Arlo was waiting for his poster, if he could send some books. So I asked the family, and they said, of course, yes. And then this is what happened. And the fourth way that families tell us that participating in the superhero project makes a difference in their family is just the joy and that comes from knowing that there are people out there who want to do something kind for their family just because they want to. The way that our artists open up their hearts and sharing their time and talent is just phenomenal. And I also want to acknowledge that Cassie, who Taryn said hello to before, she's also one of our artists. It's really been wonderful seeing how many of our artists are here, are visiting here, and so that's really exciting. We know, of course, because of the population with which we work, that a number of the posters are now memorial pieces. And oftentimes families reach out to let us know, and they tell us how they use the images in a memorial service, how they have the posters hanging in their homes. And they really, they often mention that it's not just the image itself that reminds them of their child, but that the poster is a reminder of the interview when they had the conversation, when they got to see their kids talk about who they were and what they wanted to do and what they were all about. One of our families was had a son named Ben. They were our first family in the UK, and they sent us this video with and gave us permission to share it. Well, they sent us the audio, and Taryn created the video.
Hi. When our son Ben was having treatment for cancer, quite a lot of people reached out to us, and one of those was Lisa at the Superhero Project. Lisa arranged for one of her artist friends to do a design for our son Ben to his desires, and a design for Ben's two brothers too. A couple of weeks later, Super Ben arrived. Super Ben had power from his energy tube. He had flying powers, flew above the world, fighting villains with shooting shooting tomatoes from a catapult. And with his brother sidekicks, the Happiness Ninja and Hazza123, the three of them took care of the world. A few years on now, and we've just passed Ben's 3-year angelversary. The picture that the Superhero Project created still hangs framed on the wall in our house. We walk past it and we see it every day. And we still have Ben flying high above us, looking out for his brothers, taking care of the bad guys, and making good in the world. And we owe a lot to Lisa and the Superhero Project for creating a moment that we'll never forget when Ben saw his Superhero Project image for the first time, when he saw Super Ben. It was quite a special moment we'll never forget. And thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Superhero Project, for helping us make some memories.
One thing that I especially love about the video is, if you notice, there's a moment right near the end when he points to his NG tube, the tube that's helping him, and then he points to his brother. He's looking at his dad off camera, I think. And what he was saying there is, he said, "That's my NG tube is there. That's my energy tube that helps me fly." And we hadn't talked about that during the interview, but when he saw it, he immediately, folded that into the narrative of his superhero story. And that was really incredible. And it's been hearing stories like this that really help us understand the true power of the Superhero Project. For individual families, that's what I've just been talking about, but we know that there also is an impact on the broader community, that there are lots of different ways that our initiative, that our organization is doing things more broadly. So the first is, and I'm sorry about the colors here are not matching exactly the colors on the laptop, so just so you know, these colors are all a little bit off. But this is one example. So we interviewed Nevaeh just at the beginning of the pandemic, and her mom really wanted to have a picture of her with a mask because she wanted to let especially other families with cerebral palsy know how important it was to wear a mask to protect themselves, and just to let other people know too that, when you wear a mask, you're protecting people like my daughter. the artist, who actually at the time was a student at the Cleveland Institute of Art and just finished a Disney internship. She very kindly gave her an unmasked version as well, in hopes that one day we would all unmask. I mentioned that we work with youth in the foster care system, so they invited us to have an exhibit in the government building where the Division of Child and Family Services is located in honor of Foster Care Awareness Month. And we found that the exhibits that we've done really can make a difference, not only for the kids seeing themselves, hanging on the walls, like for example, here at the Friendly Inn, this is a community center in Cleveland, and we went in, we talked with them, we did a workshop, and then we interviewed a number of those kids and had them design their superheroes, even without a medical diagnosis that I know. We know that kids living in poverty are dealing with food insecurity, they're dealing with violence, they're dealing maybe with housing insecurity, with educational, environmental, and other kinds of disparities. And so it's really important to us to support those youth as well. Once we had designed posters for them, then we actually gave the community center a full set of their posters, so they now have a permanent gallery of the kids from from the kids in their community. And we had a really incredible opening when Mike Uwande and Phil Boutte from 9B Studios, they zoomed in to talk with the kids and tell them about being an artist and what that was like. And that was very exciting for us to welcome them. The hospital where I started, that the one that Tim Tall was standing over, that hospital commissioned an exhibit from us of all current and former Rainbow patients, and we were able to have an opening there as well, where the families were able to come and see the posters, and we got lots of pictures in the next few weeks too of families who just happened to be there for an appointment, and they stopped by to see their poster, and they send me a picture of the kids pointing at it with such pride, and that was really lovely as well. The curator of the hospital's art collection actually said that he had received the most compliments that he'd ever gotten for any of the exhibits up until that time, which I think is a combination not just of the artist's skill and designs and and just the colorful vibrancy of the posters, but also the messages and the sense of joy that comes from them. We always include, when we have an exhibit, we include the character story with the artist's name as well, of course, on a title card that accompanies it. One of our most important exhibits so far is a touring exhibit that focuses on representational justice. We recognize the critical need for young people of color and young people with disabilities to see themselves reflected in art and in culture. And so our exhibit is 60 images of superheroes created by Black, Latinx, Native American, Arab American, and Asian American youth. It has a framing essay by a local artist activist who talks about how images like these, which is the principle of representational justice, is that images are a way that society changes, and how important it is to have these images as part of the lexicon. The quote there in the middle is from a 10th grade student. I did a workshop at a student center in the city of Cleveland as well, and they immediately got why these pictures are important. And I was so proud to see that without any prompting from me, they wrote what is possibly the best advertisement for bringing the exhibit in that they possibly could. So this exhibit has gone to libraries and schools. We've had it at community events, including at Fan Expo in Cleveland, which is the big Comic-Con there. And so we had a booth, an extra big space that had the full exhibit there so people could walk through it, and that was a lot of fun too. So that's who we are. We'll be opening up for questions in just a minute, but oftentimes the first question is, well, how can we get involved? What do you need? So here's what we need. So we ask you, please share a story, tag us, tell other folks about us. If you have families that you think would be interested in having a superhero made, you can send them to our website or grab a card. We also are always happy to come in and do a Zoom if you have friends or colleagues at work, or if you're in like a network of artists and you'd like us to come in and just essentially do what we just did, to tell you the story of the superhero project. We're always welcome. We're always happy to do that as well. If you can help us make connections, if you work for a studio or know a studio, if you know other artists who you think might be interested, we've got cards for artists that you have to pick, because each one has a different superhero little mini poster in here. So
Collect the whole set, yeah.
Yeah. That would mean 50. You would have to collect 50. So anyhow, so that's for artists. We've also found it's really been wonderful. There are companies like Atomic Cartoons is one, and they have a booth here. They, every 3 or 4 weeks, maybe every 6 weeks, something like that, they send out an announcement, just a blast to all of the creative team. And every single time we get like 2 or 3 new artists that come in, it's really the most efficient way is for us is to have one blast that goes out to people. We also have been lucky to have champions like Bobby, like Loish. Loish has a huge Instagram following, and she's posted about us a couple times. And I think the first time we did it, it was like 43 or something.
About 50 other artists saw her Instagram story, and they were like, "What are you guys doing? I want to join." And I was like, "Hi, welcome."
So that was it's really incredible when we have that kind of support as well. Of course, as a small and emerging nonprofit, we always need financial support. And last, if you are an artist and would be interested in helping, you can talk to Taryn. You can go on our website and sign up. And we also passed out, I know some of you got, and if you didn't get one but would like one, we passed out the Draw in Your Style. If you want to just draw that and then tag us so that we can include some of those in our Lightbox reel and our Draw This in Your Style thing, then that would be great. Oh, so the smile spreader there is by an artist, Brian Kessinger. Is that how you say it? Brian Kessinger, and I was actually at his panel yesterday, and that was very exciting. And we made one of the business cards happened to have been of his guy, so we were able to give him his business card, which was very fun. So that's how to get in touch with us. And thank you again for being here, and we'd love to answer any questions that you might have.